One of the things that many entrepreneurs overlook is the nature of the industry in which they will compete. I find many entrepreneurs are mesmerized by how attractive a particular market might be. They're stunned by perhaps a market wave or by the size of a market, and they say, well, if only I could sell a Coke to every kid in China, I'd have a really big business. Well, looking at the market is one thing, and that's very important. But it's also important to look at the industry side of things. And markets consist of this set of customers that you're going to serve in your business. Industry consists of the players, the other people who produce what you're going to produce. And so industry is kind of the sell side, market is the buy side. Many people forget to think about, is this an industry in which I want to play? There's a really good tool for assessing industries at the macro level, and that's a tool developed a long time ago by Michael Porter. And Porter said there are 5 forces that govern how attractive an industry will be. So let's take a couple of examples. The big pharma industry has long been one of the most attractive industries in the world. They make lots of money, they grow every year, margins are good, and it's because the 5 forces are largely favorable for the big pharma industry. So here's what the 5 forces are and how they play out in pharma. There's threat of entry. Is it easy to enter the pharmaceutical industry? No, it's not. It takes a whole bunch of R&D. There are big barriers because of patent protection and so on. So it's really hard to get into that industry. That's good for people already in that industry because they don't have other people coming along to eat their lunch. So threat of entry is one issue. Threat of substitutes is another. Are there substitutes for pharmaceutical products? In some parts of the pharmaceutical industry, there are perhaps natural substitutes or exercise for some things. But, if you have a cardiovascular problem, there probably aren't too many substitutes other than taking the medicine that your doctor wants you to take. So you want threat of substitutes to be very low, and in big pharma, that's the case. You also have to worry about your suppliers and your buyers, the people you're going to buy your supplies from. And in the case of big pharma, they make these pharmaceuticals out of a bunch of commodities that are powders and various chemicals, all of which are obtainable from many different commodity suppliers. So there's no pressure on them from the supplier side. And in terms of the buyer side, there hasn't historically been a lot of buyer power either, because when the doctor suggests to the patient, take this medicine, you're probably going to do it. It's changing some because the insurance companies and the large health organizations now are exerting more pressure on the pharma companies to say, wait a second, let's show that your medicines are cost effective and safe and so on. But by and large, it's still a very attractive industry. On the other hand, there's the retailing industry, and I worked in retailing for 20 years, and I know how brutal that industry is. And if you think through the same 5 forces, it's really easy to enter the retailing industry. Well, that's bad news, because you can start a retail concept, but if it's any good, somebody